It was my first movie. Everything I learned was new. I mean, so any piece of information I learned, it's not like it was something being reinforced. It was like being introduced to me for the first time. Everything about doing that film was incredible. I mean, like, I'd never been in a movie. I had a very weird experience where someone saw me in a high school play and cast me on that '70s show. So that was my first audition. And then very quickly after that, I met Steven Soderbergh and I got a chance to do Traffic. So it was like, I wasn't even that good at acting. I certainly didn't have a lot of experience. And then I never shot anything outdoors before because all of '70s show is shot in a soundstage. Steven rarely gives direction. He's a documentary filmmaker originally, and he kind of shot that film like a documentary. It was all, there were no lights. It was all using available light. I'd only seen movies with, movies about movies. I'd never been in a movie. So I thought the director had like a bullhorn and would be yelling from another room. We'd be on a set, and here we were really in a rough neighborhood, and we were really filming on the streets. And I remember going to Steven and saying, like, is there something you want me to do in this scene? And he said, oh, I don't know. And he just walked away. And I realized, oh, he's like years later, I realized, oh, he's a great filmmaker. He's so confident that he's just trying to kind of capture what's going on. But one of the rare times he did give direction to me, he wanted me to do something faster or something. I learned this from Michael Douglas, who was the first actor I worked with in the film. Michael just walked away. I'd never seen anything like it. And I realized, again, later, when I was on other movies, I realized what a pro move that was for Michael Douglas. Because, yeah, sometimes it's a little embarrassing when the director comes up, especially if it's a director like that who rarely talks to the actors, if he has something to say to you. And I love that Michael just kind of, he has an opinion. He's a great producer and actor, and has every right to stand there and have an opinion. A lot of the film was happening because he was in it. And he just walked away like it had nothing to do with him, and he gave me my time with the director. So I always thought that was a really classy thing I learned from Michael. Another thing I learned from him was we finished where we thought the scene was going to go. And Michael just kept going until he heard cut. I thought, we kind of rehearsed it up until we walk up to the car. And then Michael just got in the car and started driving away. And I went, oh, I gotta stay in it. I didn't know any of these rules about acting. So it was kind of a learn as you go process. You should talk about Erica Christensen too. It's funny, she was younger than me, about 4 years younger than me, but she had so much more experience than me. She'd been in movies and I've been on TV shows. And that was another introduction I had to someone who was closer to my age, showing me how to just be a total pro, even though she was 17 years old. And some of the stuff we had to do, some of the things we had to say to each other were very awkward. And I realized from her, oh, this is how another actor can make you feel so comfortable, and so it can make your performance better in the scene. I realized working with Steven through that process, both on set and then watching what he did in terms of editing. And, he is very involved with the editing and the writing, but he's also shooting it himself, and he's there with the camera. So it was such an intimate experience with a great filmmaker. What I learned through that process the most is why you got to work with great people, because they make you look better. I mean, I'm so happy to this day that Steven hasn't shown the alternate takes, because I certainly had a core of something I wanted to do, but you want to work with someone that's that brilliant, who can help shape your performance. And so it was a great first experience to have for a lot of reasons. It was such a well-received movie, but mostly because I learned, the better the director is that I work with, the better I'll look. If you can work with someone like Steven, if you can connect yourself with someone who does have something to say and help them say that, I don't think there's any better day on the job than when you're actually going to see that finished product and you realize, oh, this is going to speak to a lot of people about something that's very important that people should be walking out of the movie theater talking about.